All right, morning everyone. Welcome to another edition of Bitcoin Brief with your host Tone Vays. Hopefully, the next time we do a show, we will have new hosts. And I always forget. I'm starting like the honestly, this whole COVID and the politics has me actually watching YouTube again to try and keep up with what's going on. So now every time I start the stream, I have like YouTube sound on. But Jimmy, welcome back. How is everything out in Texas?
Well, Texas is doing okay. It's getting a little colder, which kind of sucks. But you know what? None of that matters because Bitcoin is above 18,000 or was for at least a little bit. And that makes me very happy. It makes a lot of people in this space happy. We are a stone's throw away from the all-time high. And I couldn't be more excited about breaching that because, as you know, the strategy of buy at all-time high and hold has done very, very well for Bitcoin in the past. So, yeah, we're gonna get a stampede, man. It's gonna be exciting.
Yep, that is true, and we're gonna talk a little bit about that in the price section, which I'm sure Jimmy will be looking forward to. I really like your tweets where you're pointing out how many days Bitcoin has closed higher than current day. So I think we're up to, after last night's close, there's been what, 3 days that closed higher?
4 days, but number 4 was very, very close. It was like 17.7, and I think we closed at like 17.69 or something. So yeah,
all right,
we're very, very close.
So hopefully today, at today's close, we'll be down to only 3 days closing higher than current day. All right, we got a couple of headlines. We're going to try and go through them kind of quick in order to get you to the price, which is what most people seem to care about. As usual, another week, another DeFi insanity. The Origin protocol loses 7.7 million in latest DeFi attack. Well, there's really no reason to really read the articles. We can go straight to a tweet. Once I find that tweet, is it this one? It is this
that's
one.
Another one.
Well, it's a different DeFi. Holy shit. Okay, let's talk about this one. I love this. The multi-stable vault was the subject of a complex hack. No. It wasn't the complex hack. I'm pretty sure it was a very simple hack because someone actually read your stupid centralized project with all the downside of decentralization that resulted in a net loss of 6 million. We are currently working on a post-mortem and are exploring ways to mitigate the impact to our users. Just print more money. That's that's your business model. Just print it. You can't even say you came up with this business model because the government and the Federal Reserves have been doing this for 100 years. It's not even your idea. So just print more money, and that helps the situation. Jimmy, your thoughts?
Yeah, so these are a little bit different than your typical DeFi hack in that they use something called like instant loans, where you borrow and then you do something and then you get it back, and in the process you drain it of money. These are more it's not exactly an attack. It's more like a legal loophole. It's kind of like finding an IRS loophole and figuring out how to take advantage of it and make some and not pay as many taxes. Except with this, it's whatever the DeFi protocol is, you can drain it of money. It's not that different than, say, the DAO hack, except it's doing it across multiple contracts and doing multiple things with them. And the people that are reading the actual smart contract and figuring out ways to exploit it, well, they're really good smart contract lawyers, as it were, and they've managed to drain it of 7 million and 6 million respectively. We've been saying for many years now that this is stupid and that it's going to be exploitable, and it's constantly being exploited. These are just 2 random ones that we found in the last week. They're happening like all the time. There's lots of these kinds of things that are happening. It's only when they like publish something that we find out about it and show it on the show. But there's so many different DeFi products out there. who knows how many of them have gotten exploited without anyone really saying anything, because they don't find out until much later when an actual bankruptcy happens.
Yeah. So not gonna waste any more time on this because I am finding I think I'm one of the few that's actually interested in the BCash fork. I know a lot of, and I'm doing my best not to tweet about it because there's just such more important things to tweet about. Obviously, Bitcoin and all the political insanity and the virus insanity. So caring about the BCash fork is not really at the top of anyone's priority list, and it shouldn't. But here's why this really, really interests me. So first of all, I am a little surprised that Amarisa Shea did not lower the difficulty, like not lower difficulty, but did not reset the difficulty to adjust, say, every 10 blocks or adjust every, say, 3 blocks, and then look, you can use Fibonacci numbers, right? Like adjust every 3 blocks, and then 5 blocks, and then 8 blocks. So this way, you're resetting, and he didn't do that. So this means it may take like a week or two at this rate to reset. But here's why this is really interesting. Now, first of all, their blocks are actually full, which is kind of interesting. I thought they had 8 megabyte blocks. Am I wrong? Is it still only 4?
I think miners, I mean, they can go up higher, but you need to patch your client in order to do it. And it's an unknown miner. I'm guessing that they didn't. So yeah, I think 4 is the max it'll like the default will give you.
So there's a couple of things that I'm really liking here. One is the fact that via BTC mined the block. Of course, it's also possible that the unknown miner mined the block and stuck via BTC in here. Now, if I was the unknown miner, I would actually be putting in these names like Antpool, BTC.com, like to at least create the illusion of mining decentralization, and also to create the illusion that these miners only care about making money and they're going to be flipping back and forth. So I believe that once the difficulty adjustment happens, there will be a lot of miners flipping back and forth in order to basically make money, because they're not making much money on anything else. It's not like the coin's going up in value. So you might as well mine the best thing possible and immediately sell it. And considering how toxic BSV is, it makes it so much easier to flip between one and the other. The other thing that I find very interesting with the BCash fork is that you have the Bitcoin Cash node and Bitcoin ABC. So this is the one that is Roger, and this is the one that is Amari. And so Roger, as we know, has control of mining. They have an exchange. He has the propaganda machine with Bitcoin.com. He's got wallets that he makes. So he is basically the single point of failure / success for Bitcoin Cash node. But here's what they no longer have. They no longer have any developers that I know. Now, I know that is a little centric on my part.
No. You know Peter Risen and other people like that. They're on BCH.
Didn't they go to BSV?
Nope.
Oh, they're on BCH. Okay, so I know Peter Risen. And what about Andrew Stone?
I think he's still at BCH. Yeah.
Okay, so they have Peter Risen and Andrew Stone. All right, so they got a couple that I've heard of. Now, of course, I don't really pay attention to it, so there's no reason for me to hear of any of them. But Amarisa Shea was the most known developer on Bitcoin Cash. And the fact that he's a known developer and the fact that he's now being paid $30 a day to work on the protocol from the mining subsidy makes him somewhat responsible for the code under the hood. And being responsible for the code under the hood is one of those confidence building elements. Now, I know your coin is supposed to be decentralized, but we all know that both of these forks are centralized. So in a world of centralization, you really have to trust a person's name. And a lot of people have lost a lot of trust in Roger, even the people on the Bitcoin Cash side. So Amory Sachet could provide that trust factor where one guy alone is more important to that project, and he is trusted to be honest about what's going on, could completely dominate the fact that you have another centralized project with a bunch of people that can never get along and are constantly forking, and you can't trust the guy at the top because it's Roger. So I can certainly see Bitcoin ABC eventually actually having a future. And by future, I don't mean in the crypto space. I mean a future versus Bitcoin Cash node. And yes, that's a very low bar. Jimmy, your thoughts?
All right. So first of all, part of this hard fork, or the reason why this all happened in the first place, is the 8% subsidy that Bitcoin ABC has, which Bitcoin Cash node does not. And BCHN and BCHA are the two forks. BCHA gets an 8% subsidy. So at current prices, I think Amory has made about $200 so far in the 15 blocks or so that Bitcoin ABC has mined. The interesting thing is, because there's a huge demand to go and dump Bitcoin ABC from all the BCH people, the blocks are getting full, and you can see that that and the fact that there's very few people actually mining Bitcoin ABC. But it's interesting because what you're getting is higher fees, and that means that this is incentivizing more miners to come over to Bitcoin ABC to mine some of these very juicy rewards, because you get a large chunk with it. But that said, one of the things on this hard fork, so they're basically identical, these two pieces of software, except for the 8% subsidy. So one of the things that they added was a new difficulty adjustment algorithm. And by my count, I think it's their third. It might be their fourth. I'm not sure. But one of the reasons why they switched it again was because there were miners that were doing the swapping thing, where they would go over to Bitcoin Cash for maybe like a few days and mine a lot of blocks, and then not have any hashing power on there for like a week or something like that. And then the difficulty would readjust, and then they go back there and then mine it again. To make that abuse less, what they did was they basically changed the algorithm so that it changes very slowly. And one of the consequences of that is that Bitcoin ABC is not going to get that easy for at least another week, which is kind of sad, but that's how things are. And it makes you wonder why they changed the entire difficulty adjustment algorithm in the first place, because Bitcoins adjust every 2 weeks. This now adjusts about every 2 weeks. So it's like, why bother? What the hell was the point of all this? And it just goes to show that a lot of their engineering is not really engineering at all. It's just sort of wasted make work. It's a Rube Goldberg machine that's really doing nothing. And yeah, it's kind of a sad situation, but it is what it is. I think one of the things that we're realizing versus previous forks is that they're no longer coming out the other side with a higher value than it was before. So this was a common thing that would happen, where you would have one value, like, and after the split, you would have two values that would add up to more than what the value was before. That's not the case with Bitcoin Cash, at least measured against Bitcoin. Right now, Bitcoin ABC plus Bitcoin Cash is somewhere around like 1.7%, something like that, of Bitcoin, and before it was like 1.8. So They continue to go down, and I think people are seeing it for what it is. It's just continuous bickering and no actual value added to anything.
All right. Thanks for your comment, Jimmy. And I will continue to keep this tab open until there is a difficulty adjustment and this chain is picking up blocks approximately every 10 minutes. So until Bitcoin ABC is able to generate blocks every 10 minutes, there's really, there's nothing you can assess. Like, you don't know the viability or the uselessness of the chain. I was looking for the right word. You can't assess the uselessness of the chain until it has readjusted its difficulty so that it's mining a block every 10 minutes. Okay.
Well, and right now Bitcoin ABC has been going up since it's first sold. So I think that might be due to the slow blocks, and there's not enough blocks to carry these Bitcoin ABCs into the exchanges to sell them. The only Bitcoin ABCs that are available for sale pretty much are the ones that were on the exchanges before the split happened. Right now it's going $20-$30. So yeah, we'll see.
Hey, Jimmy, who could have guessed that blocks being found at a slower pace that are as full as possible is actually good for a blockchain and its price? Who could have possibly guessed that?
I guess we'll see what the price is like. If well, the thing is, it's kind of an interesting equilibrium. There's a Nash equilibrium there, where if there's enough people paying fees, then a block will get mined, because miners will switch over and so on. So we'll see. We'll see where that equilibrium is, at least at this difficulty. But as you said, it'll get down to 10 minutes eventually. It's just going to take like a week or two.
Yeah. So think about my last sarcastic statement. To every single shitcoin that said Bitcoin is too slow, and to every single shitcoin that says Bitcoin can only process transactions every 7 transactions a second. So right here you have a shit case that is proving the complete opposite of those narratives in its first 3 days of existence. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about some Bitcoin. So let's talk about our new senator from Wyoming, who is a Bitcoin hodler, and she has a connection to Unchained Capital in some way. Like, someone is either related or an advisor. Jimmy, remind me.
Yeah. So Will Cole, who is at Unchained Capital, is married to Cynthia Loomis's daughter. So
right, that's the family connection. I didn't think it was a direct relative, but some kind of a relative-ish.
But but while he was still dating her, he introduced her mom to Bitcoin, and she took it. So she's going to talk about it.
Excellent. So let's play a little bit of what she has to say, because hopefully this ends very well.
Senator-elect Cynthia Loomis joins us now. Good morning to you, Senator-elect.
Good morning, Ainsley.
Good morning. What a resume you have. You served in the State House or Senate for 14 years. You were State Treasurer for 8 years. 8 years in the U.S. House, and congratulations, you were the first female senator in the state of Wyoming. I'm sure that feels great. What do you plan on doing? What are your top priorities?
Well, it's such an honor to serve Wyoming in the U.S. Senate. I plan to work on several issues, including matters to try to reduce our debt and our deficit. I also plan to explain to my colleagues about Bitcoin. I know there isn't much known about Bitcoin, especially in the Congress. So I want to make sure everybody understands that this is a great store of value. It's something that Americans can use to diversify their assets and to make sure that they have assets that don't have inflation built into them, just the way the US dollar does.
Well, that was excellent.
Yeah. She definitely knows what she's talking about, and it does sound like she's going to make Bitcoin a big priority as she goes into the Senate. We have a senator that is willing to fight for us, and if you know anything about what's going on in Wyoming with all their banking legislation and so on, she was heavily involved in that, and yeah, you can bet that this is going to be very, very good for Bitcoin from a regulatory perspective and so on.
All right, let's take one more minute and listen to one more from a few days ago.
Senator-elect, you got another first under your belt. This one very interesting. You're the first senator to own Bitcoin. I'm going to be fully transparent here and say I'm not well versed in Bitcoin, but I know that there are a couple people who believe, yes, you should be an advocate for this type of currency, and there are other people who are raising some concerns that this could be a front for money laundering or for some sort of tax evasion. Where do you stand? Do you hope to bring Bitcoin into the national conversation?
I do hope to bring Bitcoin into the national conversation. I'm a former state treasurer, and I invested our state's permanent funds. So I was always looking for a good store of value, and Bitcoin fits that bill. Our own currency inflates. Bitcoin does not. It's 21 million Bitcoin will be mined, and that's it. It is a finite supply. So I have confidence that this is going to be an important player in stores of value for a long time to come.
Well, we are more well-versed now after that answer. And
It almost feels like she's going out of her way to make sure it's a store of value and not a medium of exchange. Which,
she is. I'm good friends with Will and Annalise, who's their daughter. So I've gotten that vibe from them as well.
Is that do you think that's a good thing? Because personally, I do want Bitcoin to be a medium of exchange. I believe that store of value is obviously more important, but I do find Bitcoin to be a good medium of exchange. It just needs, a little more privacy in there and a little more scalability in there. But they're both coming. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't think the medium of exchange thing is going to be even 1% of Bitcoin's use case for like the next 5 years. It's only when it's like people just don't like spending things that are going up. I mean, like how many people? If you know that in the next year Bitcoin's going to 5x, you're not really going to spend it, and if you do, it'll be like for something that you really, really need. And that's I think she's got the right message, at least at this point. And it may change. I mean, that's something that I'm sure she'll think of if say like Bitcoin hits like $1 million or something. Then at that point, like she might want to change it, but. I mean, I think it's perfectly fine for now.
People are saying Wyoming should secede. No. Wyoming is the last state should secede. California should secede, and they should have built a wall. And they should build a wall around them before they do. No. Wyoming has no business seceding. Okay. Yeah. So that's pretty good news. Let's see what else we got here. We got a mining pool that loses pretty much everything the moment they are not able to pay out the Satoshis they owe to their clients. And this once again goes to the fact that, oh my God, this mining pool has 80% of Bitcoin hash power, and which this one obviously did not. But the moment a mining pool even hinting at doing something stupid, this is what happens. Jimmy, you want to tell us more?
Yeah, so basically OKX is an exchange, and they actually had some serious trouble. Like they suspended withdrawals for some reason, and that caused the pool that's associated with OKX to basically, like everyone just kind of left and went somewhere else. And that happened within 2 weeks, which is kind of amazing because they had a significant percentage of hashing power. I think it was around 20% or something like that. So they lost all of that. They lost 99.5% of their own of the hashing power that was in that pool, and they all went somewhere else, which is kind of scary. But that's it shows you that there are lots of independent operators that do whatever is best for them. And if that OKX is possibly will not pay out, then it's not worth going and mining there. That seems to be what happened.
Yeah, I'm trying to find mining statistics from like a month ago. Where are they here? Am I looking at the right place? Probably not. Where is mining? Blocks. I'm assuming it's in blocks.
It'll tell you hash rates by network, but it'll just tell you the networks, not.
Well, where is the miner distribution here?
That would probably be somewhere else. Statistics, maybe.
I tried that. I didn't see it.
It looks like it's still loading.
Oh, what is that?
Oh, there.
What is
It
it?
was there.
It was there. Okay, so I have to go back. Yeah, there it was. I thought I saw it. There it is.
Yeah,
there you are.
There it is.
Okay, so this is just from in the last 7 days. Is OKEX on this list?
I think they've disappeared completely.
I think they're already gone. So we gotta like really go back more than 7 days. So they're not gonna be there in the last 24 hours. I wish this was like editable. I wish we could like take a look at this with like a drop down that says how far back you want to go.
Yeah,
and that would be nice. But
it wouldn't be very hard to write. If any of you want to make a site like that, I think Tony and I would go there.
But yeah, so would have been nice to see where they were before that. But I guess the article does point that out. So the pool hash rate was blocks mined per month. That's is that a lot? 300 blocks in a month?
That's about 2.5 days worth. So that would be about 2.5 divided by 30, maybe 8-9%, something like that.
That's pretty substantial.
Yeah.
They would have been right here around where Via BTC and Binance are.
Mm-hmm.
That that sucks. well, yeah, and
I mean, they went to all the other pools, so I'm sure F2 pool has gathered some of theirs and others and so on.
I really like this distribution. It's pretty spread out. I don't like how my favorite pools. Well, my favorite one is Slush, and I don't
Slush
like
has 2.5%. Yeah.
That's kind of disappointing. That Slush is so low on this list.
I mean, look at who's running them. These are all Chinese companies: F2 Pool, Poolin, and Pool, BTC.com, Huobi, Binance, So I mean, Slush is in Europe. They're not really marketing to the right players, I don't think. I mean, they probably could if they wanted to, but I mean, most of these are all in China. But of course, they're leaving China and going elsewhere. So, I mean, maybe Slush will grow from that. I don't know.
Yeah, and do we know where Bitfury ended up? Because Bitfury was our one solo, private miner, and they decided to join a pool. Any idea where they went?
I think so. I don't know. I'm going to guess F2 pool, but I have no idea.
All right. Well, there's your Bitcoin mining structure. Oh, we're supposed to do a story earlier because we'll go right from the pool straight to the mempool, but I screwed up because I'm not an experienced host. Mexico's second richest man invests 10% of his liquid portfolio in Bitcoin. Now, Mexico isn't exactly, this third world dump that a lot of people make it out to be. Mexico is actually rated as a developed first world country with a lot of rich people, including many, many billionaires. And this is kind of important.
Mm-hmm.
And he also mentioned Saifuddin's book, apparently, which is great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Actually, he replied to Saifuddin, I think, later in that tweet, and said, I look forward to meeting you or something like that. But 10% of his liquid portfolio. Now, we know that he's a billionaire. We don't know how much of his portfolio is liquid, but this, I think, is upwards of $100 million. I'm guessing that he has at least $1 billion liquid. And if it's 10%, that's $100 million. These are some large buys that are coming in. This is what has caused Bitcoin price to go up, and there just isn't that much supply out there. And when there isn't much supply and a lot of demand, what happens to price? that's what we're going to be talking about in just a little bit.
Yep. So more developments of people realizing the store of value property of Bitcoin, because he sure as hell ain't buying it to buy cups of coffee. All right. Let's talk about the mempool. Getting a little crowded down here. Haven't seen, these dark spots in a while. What are we looking at here, Jimmy?
Well, I mean, it cleared over the weekend, but now it's Wednesday, so we're in the middle of the week. But it mostly cleared last night, and you can see that sharp drop off. We honestly don't have very much in the mempool right now. I mean, I think what is it, like 12 blocks worth or something like that, which isn't very much. And I expect it to clear tonight. So if you're willing to do like 2 sat per byte transactions, you could probably get them cleared overnight. If you go to the first one, there's only like 9 blocks worth in the mempool at the moment. And actually, like one of the things that I've noticed about the current situation is that the blocks are coming in faster, and this is because of difficulty adjustment that kicked in. I think it was last week. As a result, a lot of miners went offline after the Chinese rainy season, and that caused the difficulty to go down. After that, and now it's easy, but price is shooting up, so more miners are coming online. This is causing blocks to be found faster. One of the hours I was looking at had like 12 or 13 blocks. The average should be 6, and that shouldn't happen that often unless there's a lot more hashing power. So I think we're in for a pretty big difficulty adjustment going upward again. It's going to get more difficult, but for now, I think you're going to clear a lot more. You can see that, like we found 2 blocks in the last couple minutes, for example. And that's a good thing. So yeah, like just you can put in transactions for very cheap at this moment.
I like this new feature where they say high priority, medium priority, and low priority. And by the way, your wallet should give you the ability to adjust your sat per byte transaction fee. Also, I was going to say another element to it is, yes, it sounds like the Chinese miners did shut down for rainy season to move to migrate. But when the price is rising this fast, I'm sure there was like an extra carrot dangling there to get your miners back up and running real fast because there was a lot of money you're missing out on. So probably unlike in prior years, there was a little bit more urgency to immediately get your miners online right after the difficulty dropped a week ago.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at 6.25 Bitcoin, which is over $100,000 now. Like every time you mine a block, and we haven't had that since before the halvening, and back then you weren't getting 100,000 per block because it wasn't $10,000 per Bitcoin, so or even $8,000 per Bitcoin for most of it. So it's very profitable to be running it right now, and I imagine that this is going to continue as price continues to rise.
Hey, when we hit a new all-time high, maybe next week or in 2 weeks, because I just got a little flashback here. Can we go back to that day when Roger Ver and Bitcoin.com mined a greater than 1 megabyte block and lost their 12.5 Bitcoin reward?
I guess we could. The sad thing is, I don't think he would admit that was like a bad thing. I don't know. He's
Can we find the
so
anniversary?
completely delusional at this point.
Hey guys, if anyone's watching, and I hope some people are watching because we do have 3. If anyone's paying attention, because we do have 1,000 people watching. I don't need all of you to do this, but if like one person can Google the anniversary of that date, and maybe it's coming up, and then we'll mention it. So just throw that day on there when Bitcoin.com had their block reorged. Because it was over 1 megabyte in size. Okay, let's all right, let's talk price.
Yeah.
How about that? All right, so here we go. So I actually tweeted out a chart this morning. I can't remember the last time I did that. And I am looking at the monthly candles in Heikinashi, and there's only one reason I'm looking at it in Heikinashi, and that's because historically, throughout the life of Bitcoin, it has been acting incredibly well with the MRI. One little thing, I really wish this candle closed a smidge higher, and then we would have also had an MRI top right there. So that was like a double MRI top right there. But this indicator has been working incredibly well. It's for the last 5 years, it marked the low, the perfect buy point, the perfect sell point in the last bubble. Granted, it was a third consecutive point, but each time there was plenty of time, plenty of consolidation after the warning to get out, plenty of consolidation to get back in. This time you got out and you did well, caught the perfect month of the low. And guess what's happening right now? We are 2 weeks away from getting another one of these red candles. Now, if we're lucky, it's going to be the first of multiple MRI tops in a row. But even if it's just the first, notice what happened on this first MRI top. The candle was very similar to the current looking candle. And then we had 1, 2, 3, 4 months of consolidation before a new rise. So either way, I am taking this pretty seriously. I have already exited some of my long Bitcoin exposure. And if we keep going higher, I'm happy to go back in. If we look at the normal candle of the monthly chart, we have had 2 crazy big months, and that's also not normal. Here we had 3 crazy big months, and that ended pretty badly. I do think it's possible for us to go higher next month to form that actual top, but I'm not willing to risk that with my entire portfolio, and that's why I have already started exiting. I'm always happy to put it back in, but I am looking for exits over the next 2 weeks between now and the end of November. And now months, we still have 6 weeks here, right? So this would have had the same orange arrow pretty much as the candle started. And that doesn't mean that you have to assume that it will immediately turn, because Bitcoin still doubled in price. It went up 127% since the moment the orange arrow showed up. Now, I didn't get out the moment it showed up. I got out in the middle of that candle. So even if that's the case, if I am getting out a little prematurely on this candle, I'm still potentially getting out before a Bitcoin doubling. And that wasn't even the top. It went higher than that. Because it didn't top until the following candle on a monthly basis, but in the Heikinashi version, which is the one I prefer because it just has been more consistent. So I am careful here. Let's go to the weekly chart. Here's the weekly chart. Now notice how the weekly chart has the same orange arrow. That means that the MRI top is coming next week. And next week is only 2 more trading days away. Well, sorry, 2 trading days away if you trade on the exchanges, GBTC, which is where I trade. Other than that, you have till Sunday night. So is it possible for us to go higher this candle and make the top next candle, which is next week? Of course, it's possible, but there's too many arrows pointing to the downside on an indicator that I trust for me to ignore. So, and when we get to the 4-hour chart, I'm really going to show you what scared me. But right now, this is a warning sign. Today, I took this warning sign seriously. I did not take this warning sign seriously yesterday. Those of you that watched this video yesterday would have heard me say something completely different than I'm saying today. Yesterday, I was saying I'm a hodler. Today, I'm saying I'm starting to take my profit, because things happened on a low level time frame that bothered me, and we'll get there in a minute. From a weekly perspective, this is a warning. Next week is a top. The last time we had a top, it looked like this, and we pulled back for 1, 2, 3.5 weeks. And the week of the pullback was itself pretty shitty if you did not get out near the top, though you still got out okay, but you would have been disappointed that you didn't get out earlier. The prior time we had one of these arrows was in the opposite direction, and we were making a new low. We went down too far too fast, and we snapped back. Here, I believe we're now going up too far too fast, and I am looking for a snap back. This one, we went up really fast in the beginning, but when we were entering the MRI top, we were no longer going up too far too fast. So there was no reason to snap back. This one kind of went too far too fast in a single week that ended up snapping it back much further. Here's a couple of other examples. This guy here did not go up fast at all until the week of the top in the MRI, and that caused a few weeks of consolidation, followed by one of my green stars that tells me it's safe to get back into the market. This led into a second consecutive MRI top, which I expected to have a much bigger snapback because of how high we went up right into the MRI top, rejected by a resistance line, and preceded by a reversal candle. Everything here called for a serious correction, which we did not get. And this was the big concern. By not getting a serious correction and only getting a 17% correction from the top, but in a realistic sense, the correction was more like 12.5%. By only getting a 12.5% correction, created some distorted elements in markets. And by immediately going up to 14, it created this, I guess, unbalanced market that kind of made it shitty for the next 9 months, eventually crashing all the way down to 3,800. Yes, COVID had something to do with it, but even if COVID didn't have, never happened, and this was the low, that's still a pretty bad low. From 14,000 down to 6.5 is actually more than a 50% correction. That still led to a 54% correction. We want to avoid 50% corrections. And the best way to avoid 50% corrections is by having 30 to 20% corrections on the way up. And we have not had a 20 to 30% correction on the way up. The biggest correction we had was here, and it was 21%. So I am fact checking myself and correcting myself that we did have a 20% correction, but I honestly am not a fan of corrections from the very top to the very bottom, even though I'm contradicting myself again, because that's exactly what I did from there to here. So in a realistic version, we really fell from there to here, which was a 40% correction, and still something to avoid. So in a realistic sense, we really corrected something like from here to there, which was 15%. You want a more realistic version. If we're gonna go highest high to the lowest low, I want that to be in the 30+% range. But if we're gonna go candle body to candle body, I want that in the 20% range. If I get one or the other, I think that's a good, healthy correction. We have not had one of those. We haven't had a correction of bodies for 20% or peak to peak for 30%. So I believe it is coming. The question is, when is it going to start? And at the moment, I believe it is starting either now or sometime this month. I don't want to take a chance, so I already started exiting. And I already set up limit orders to exit me if we go back a little bit higher, because I missed my exit this morning because the market wasn't open, and we're going to get to that in a low level time frame. Either way, we have a weekly warning So everything interesting is going to happen next week when the MRI top comes in. Daily chart. Daily chart is really, really critical. So once again, you have a warning. And this is what I tweeted out. You have a daily warning inside a weekly warning, inside a monthly warning. Now, it's not as great as an MRI top daily, inside a weekly MRI top, inside a monthly MRI top. But that would actually be impossible to get, because we cannot have an MRI top on a weekly scale next month, because it takes more than 6 candles to get to it, and we're going to have an MRI top tomorrow. So we will not have our perfect lined up top, but this is as close as I've ever seen it in Bitcoin. And I'm going to trust it no matter how moonish the environment seems. The daily chart is very much out of control. The daily chart has gone 30%, 28% above the 50-period moving average, 36% above the 128, and 40% above the 200-day. That is very overextended. If we look at the funding rates, the funding rate still favors the bulls, which is incredible, absolutely incredible. All the metrics are still pretty bullish, but I am cautious. The MRI has given us an extension B and extension C end. Extension A had already ended. There is no more extensions. So the entire upswing, and those of you that know how to trade the MRI know what I'm talking about, because you have videos educating you on it. Those that don't have it and are interested are welcome to go to tonevays.com/indicator, read the description. It does have a one-time fee. No one wants to spend Bitcoin. No one's paying in Bitcoin. Everyone's paying with dollars and credit cards. I don't blame them. I wouldn't be spending Bitcoin either. It's okay. I'm happy to take the fiat as well. I have ways to convert it into other things if I need to. But that's the shameless plug. Let's go back to the daily. So this MRI top, when it doesn't turn the market, creates an extension of the bullish trend. And all of the extensions from this MRI top end today. So today is the last day of these extensions. These extensions are coming from older MRI tops. So right now we have a clean slate, and tomorrow we get the MRI top. In fact, we're going to get it in about 8 hours. This is a very nasty reversal candle. This candle does remind me of what happened back in like March, April of 2017. There was one of these days as well. I think with Jimmy and I talked about this day a while back. It had to do with the ETF announcement as well. Wow, I really have to go back because this is the daily chart. So we got to go back to 2017. And it does remind me of some of these candles back then that looked something like this. And we even talked about it here. So it's these, you go up and it's one of these giant wick candles. Kind of happened here as well, though this was a little bit one-sided. Something like this. Now, this is a beautiful MRI top. Yes, we went higher the next day, but look at the big crash. 1 to 4 candle correction goes right into the extensions, and 2 of the 3 extensions completed, marking the next top. This is the kind of thing that I'm looking for, and I'm sure extension B was maybe 1 candle off, or at worst, like 2 candles off. So let's go back to the current day. This is a combination of a nasty candle that historically has a history of pullbacks. We have end of extensions B and C. We have an MRI top warning saying that this candle or next candle or the candle after are the likely areas where a top can take place. We're inside one of these weekly warnings and inside a monthly warning, which is here. So all of these factors together made me exit my position this morning. Now, where did I exit my position? Well, let's talk about this. So this morning, actually, I wish I paid more attention, because when I went to sleep, Bitcoin was like 3,400, And I usually wake up 2 or 3 times in the middle of the night, check the price of Bitcoin, and go back to sleep. I don't know about you guys, but that's now what my body does automatically. And when I was waking up in the middle of the night, like I do almost every night to check the price, thank God my phone was like right next to my pillow. We were doing fine. We were like at 80, like 18,300, 18,400. And then this morning when I woke up, we were actually above 18,000. So I just, went to the gym and thought, hey, it's another great stable day. It wasn't until I came home and saw this. And that's when I said, what the fuck? This is a very nasty pullback. I have no idea what caused it, but that is a $1,500 drop for 7.6%. And when I saw that this morning, I couldn't wait for the markets at 9:30 to open. That's why there was no video this morning, guys. That's why there was no video this morning at 9:30 or 10 a.m. because I needed to exit my trade. This scared me. This is not normal. Okay, I know shit goes crazy on exchanges sometimes, but this tells me major players sold, and major players sold, the whales sold, and the plebs bought it up. Now, that doesn't mean that the plebs are wrong, okay? But I trust the big money. And when big money moves it, and I don't even have volume up. We can turn volume on. Let me see. I'm going to add the tone Vays volume, which I still haven't made public because I'm lazy. Not because I don't like you guys.
Second to last. There you go.
There it is. Thank you. So the volume on this candle was pretty substantial. It wasn't that substantial, but it's pretty substantial. See, this is a little bit different, but similar. Let's look at this candle. This is also a similar situation, but this candle did not spike up before spiking down. Also, this candle had some more room to go before an MRI top. And this is also a 4-hour candle. And then look what happened. We corrected and almost went as low as that low. This is common, and this happens often. So when I came back and I saw this candle, like I missed it. Maybe I didn't wake up in the middle of the night early enough, but every time when I woke up, when I woke up, it was already in this candle. Like I totally missed this. Well, like I was asleep when this happened. And when I wake up to check the price, I don't check the history from the prior time I checked the price. Like I don't check that it crashed. So I had no clue. But this morning, after I came back and opened the chart, now we're going to go to the 1-hour chart. I saw what happened. And here is 6 a.m. and I'm watching it drop 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m. This is still New York time because of my trading account's always in New York time because of the markets. And I needed to get out. I never trade the first 15 minutes of trading. So I got out near 10 a.m. Before the big crash happened. And I felt like a genius. And now it's actually, I got out a little bit higher than we are right now, but approximately the same price. So let's go to the 10-minute chart. So I got out before the big drop. So I got out like right here. I don't like to trade in the first 15 minutes of trading. Markets open here. That's my next 10 minutes. And just as this candle started to go red, I got out. So my exit was here. Maybe not right at the top, but like here. So that means right now the price is slightly higher than where I got out. But I am currently uncomfortable with a short-term long position because to me, this is somewhat legit. This big red volume spike kind of messed it up. And I'm looking at a 10-minute chart and look at these beautiful MRI tops here, here, and this buy came in, a few candles early. If I switch to the 5-minute scale, I think there was like a sell right there because I checked it before we went live. Once it loads. Now, right now, the current situation, yep, there it is, on the rebound. I have stop losses, so I have other take profits. I'm going to go back to the 4-hour chart. And because I did not get a chance to exit where I would have loved to exit in the 18.2 range, I had to take the exit, in the 17.8, 17.9. I have other sells in place around here, around near the tops, but only if it happens today or tomorrow. If we don't go back to this green line today or tomorrow, but we go to this green line next week, I would actually then think that we will have more upside, and maybe we're not going to top here, but we're going to top, closer to 19,000. So at the moment, I am looking at a top. I have my buying orders in place, but they're kind of low. I'm willing to get back in, but I'm also, it's a weird situation. My limit order to sell at this green line above 18,000 is only for today, tomorrow, and Friday. If we get back to this green line, if I don't get to sell and I don't get to add more to my trade, I would add more if we fall low enough. And we get back to this green line next week, I would not sell at the green line. I would wait for more upside and then probably sell. I doubt I would buy more because then we're literally in the weekly MRI top. People were asking me all morning on this live chat about the higher we go up, the bigger the crash is going to be. Yes, but we haven't gone up on reasonably high yet. Right now, if this was the top, and I do think that this has a high probability of being a short-term top, I think that the pullback should not be lower than 14,000. I think we will hold 14. I think 14 is as low as we would go, which kind of puts us here somewhere, which could be in line with this moving average. So that's what I'm looking at right now. I still have GBTC, and I am looking to exit. If we do start going lower, I will exit that probably around 17,000. I would love to exit it above 18,000, but I think we did top right here last night, and probably for the month. I could be proven wrong in 3 hours, but at the moment,
I thought we were going to do an all-time high show. What the heck?
Dude, I even made the graphic. I had like my, I texted my graphic designer last night before going to bed. And I'm like, dude, we need a all-time high graphic. Because when I was going to bed, I thought we're going to break all-time high this week. But the way it reacted around midnight New York time last night, now everything changed. This 1 hour, it's amazing how 1 hour can change your entire view on the market. This hour, the midnight hour of November 18th changed everything for me between yesterday and today. It was this hour, which I didn't even know existed until like 8 a.m. this morning, New York time. Around.
Well, I guess we'll see. I think there's a lot of people that were hoping for an all-time high soon. I mean, this is the thing about like a lot of these, slow trends towards the all-time high is that there are a lot of people that have held for 3 years, something like that. They just want to be made whole and get out of it. I'm guessing this is one of those people, but I don't know.
By the way, technically, Bitcoin did hit an all-time high yesterday. We hit an all-time high in Bitcoin market cap.
That's true, right?
So
Yep.
There is an all-time high to celebrate. It's the most money on chain there's ever been.
Yes.
Now GBTC premium is still pretty elevated. I was happy to take that exit. Bitcoin dominance is still growing. That's good. By the way, the overall market cap is not even close to the all-time high because, and I said that I said that many times, Bitcoin will break all-time high market cap years before crypto or all-time high market cap is broken because all of those shitcoins are not coming back. A lot of people are asking about gold. I am pretty bearish gold right here. I'm not. I guess I should probably sell my gold, but and especially silver. But I don't have any paper. If I had paper, gold and silver, I definitely would have sold that by now. But right here, we're going back to this red line. I'm pretty bearish on gold right now. S&P, that's a 10-minute scale. I don't really care for that. S&P is doing okay. S&P is doing pretty well, consolidating at the all-time high. Usually a sign for more upside. And that's probably it. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Yeah, they are suffering since their hard fork. Just look at the last 4 days. It's kind of crazy.
Oh, God. This is just the last few weeks. But, I mean, this is silly. We got to take that out. Oh, there it is. Yeah, you guys got a shot. MRI bottom tomorrow. MRI buy for BCash. But they keep establishing, like, new support levels. Like, this is bad. Like, the moment this line was broken, it was bad. And then whoever bought this thing, I'm hoping is already regretting it. And if this person dumps, let me see what the volume was like. I don't have volume up. Doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. But, like, obviously, we're not going to hit new low until we break 0.013. But, yeah, it's... just make it down to below 0.01, and then we'll never have to mention you guys again.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that a lot of people after this hard fork are just converting straight to Bitcoin instead of going to the other side of the fork? Because that's what it looks like to me. Because yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, probably. That's what that makes sense. You're gonna split these things up if you even gonna bother, and you're just gonna convert it to Bitcoin. It's over. I mean, we should have should we build a betting site when Roger is gonna throw in the towel on different milestones,
Yeah, there's so many people that got so burned on this thing. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, billion-dollar companies imploding. Yeah, it's bad. All right, man.
You want to look at BSV real quick because they did a big drop in the last day or so as well.
Not really, but BSV versus Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Giant candle. There was a big dump.
Yeah,
they're struggling at 0.9%. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. They're not at all-time lows yet. I mean, they were doing worse in 2019, so...
They're getting there, though. They're getting there. It's not far.
They are. Like, man, how... people are so dumb. What do you say? Anyway, that's pretty much it. Questions are, what if Bitcoin goes under 14K? Let's talk about, Bitcoin going under 14K when it gets near 14K. I mean, there's no reason to discuss under 14K. I personally believe the best thing for Bitcoin, the best possible thing for Bitcoin is 12,000 before 20,000. I think that's the best thing for Bitcoin this halving cycle. So between the halving of 2020 and the halving of 2024, the best thing Bitcoin can do is hit 12K before 20. Because by hitting 12K before 20, remember what Jimmy said earlier? I hope Jimmy remembers what Jimmy said earlier. That buying the breakout of a new all-time high has been one of the most incredible strategies. But here is the thing. All prior times that Bitcoin broke the all-time high, it did it in a more consolidated fashion. Like the last time we broke the all-time high, as we were breaking it, we had a pullback of, come on, of 35% peak to peak and over 20%, candle to candle, 25% even. Like the bigger the pullback before, I have to delete all these lines. I don't know why they're even still like so many of them are there. So the bigger this pullback before the breakout of the all-time high, the better. And we had one more here. Remember, this was also a peak to almost new all-time high. And that's also a drop of 35% peak to peak, maybe 18% candle to candle. Yeah, 18 exactly. So we had two significant corrections before the break, and that's what made the break so great. And if we go before that, if we go here, same thing. See, here's the big crash off of this all-time high. Granted, the all-time high was at 250, but realistically, that would have been hard to exit because it was only there for a day. Realistically, 150, 160 was the real exit. And look how we consolidated. So the break took place off consolidation. And if we go, before that, or wrong, we can go on here. We can look at regular candles. So if we go to the 2011 high of $30, once again, when we were breaking $30, we were doing it off of major consolidation. That all of those are great environments for the break of the all-time high. And while you can make the argument on a monthly scale that we are breaking off consolidation, I'm looking at the weekly scale, and we're really not, because you really shouldn't be using monthly for this kind of analysis. And on a weekly scale, we're not really breaking to new all-time highs, especially if it happens very, very soon, of any consolidation or any pullbacks. And that's why it would be unhealthy to break 20K, and those gains after 20K will be short-lived if Bitcoin does not have a healthy correction before the break. So if you really want to be comfortable with your unreasonably huge position in Bitcoin for the during this halving bullish cycle, you really want it to pull back to as close to 12,000 as possible, and then break 20,000 no earlier than the summer of next year, if not all the way out into the fall, because it should take, a month or two to get back to 12, and maybe 3 to 4 months to get back to 20, and then break 20, about 6 to 9 months from now. And if we can break 20 in 6 to 9 months from now, after a 25% pullback or so, that sets us up to go from 20 to 100 in a pretty confident way. So that's kind of my thinking right now.
I see. That looks pretty good. Either way.
All right. I think that's good. Jimmy, any final thoughts? And guys, if you want to support, please check out the on-demand videos and also the free Learn Trading section. And Jimmy also has a website that is somewhere. I have too many tabs. That is here.
Yeah, well, it's there it is, programmingbitcoin.com. This is my first book, Programming Bitcoin, and it's for programmers. The other book is the Little Bitcoin book, which is available in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. We have others, but they got like delayed by COVID, so we're still working on them. But that's what I have available, and you can go buy them on Amazon.
Thank you for that, Jimmy. And the little Bitcoin book is here. I was just answering a question in the live chat, which was a very good question. And the question was, how likely is this pullback? Because what I want and what is going to happen don't have to correlate. So I say the pullback to 14,000 is pretty damn likely. So 14K before 20K is pretty likely. Lower than 14K before 20K is less than 50% likely, but you should be ready.
May
All right.
happen.
People are saying my timeline is small. In 2016-17, it only took a few weeks to recover from a 30% drop. Yes, that can certainly happen. I would rather it take longer. Again, what I like and what can happen are two independent things. I would like for it to take as long as possible without it being too long. And I think 9 months is a little too long. Beyond 9 months is too long. Below 6 months is a little too short. So it's somewhere in between. Okay. So that's it for us, guys. A little longer show than usual. We'll try to bring you a couple of new shows every week. I'm still adding some elements to the backgrounds. Once the backgrounds are created to my liking, I will open source the backgrounds. There'll be other cities. There'll be other, I have some night ones that are really, really cool. I was really saving an awesome background for our moon show, Bitcoin moon show. I may have to use it sooner than that because I am not as optimistic of new all-time highs as I was at this time yesterday because of what went down with price last night. All right, guys. Thank you all so much for watching, and see you all on the next one.
Fiat the Lenda S, this song is done.
Oh, wait, we forgot to mention that you bet a bit.
Oh, yeah. Totally forgot about that. How did we forget about that? Oh, gosh. All right. We're still live or no?
Yeah, we're still live, yeah.
Okay, all right. So I did make a bet with Brandon Lawless on the election. It's kind of sad, but I took the Biden side, and we're going to resolve it by January 6th. We have the terms that Tone has, so he'll be able to adjudicate if anything happens. This for you, Brandon, so you know that like we're not gonna like try.
It's on video. Jimmy and I are not gonna collude.
Yeah, there you go.
Right, let me go back to screen share. Hold on, real quick. Yeah. So this is Brandon's Twitter. And Brandon offered a 1 Bitcoin bet because he thinks Trump will be president next 4 years. Jimmy took the Biden bet. People are upset at me because I keep pointing out election fraud. And now remember, I believe there was election fraud, but I also believe that Trump will not be president next year. Now, whether that's my opinion on whether that's good or bad is relevant to many, especially myself, but it's kind of irrelevant for this discussion in that I think Trump's probability of being president is somewhere in the 25% range. Now, some people think that is unreasonably high, and other people think that is unreasonably low, which makes me think that it's probably just right. So that's my probability of Trump being president. Now, Trump can be president in two ways. Trump can either declare himself a dictator of the United States and set up a military operation around the White House and refuse to leave. Or another way that Trump can still be president, which is I don't think Trump will do part A, but another way Trump could be president is if the court system does rule in his favor and they get to invalidate a bunch of ballots, and then I guess the legislature of the state votes for who the president was elected. Like, I have no idea how this shit works, but either way, the country looks bad with what's going on. So don't mean to turn this into a political discussion, but I would like for Brandon to win the bet that Trump is president, but I don't believe that Brandon will win the bet. I believe that Jimmy will win the bet, and Biden is the US president next term, which creates a whole other set of issues. All right, leaving the political discussion aside, now we can go ahead and end the show.
All right, Fiat Delenda Est. This song is definitely done this time.
Bye, guys.